All right, let's go.
Hello, everyone. All eyes on me. Hello, good evening. Thank you all for coming. We really appreciate it and taking time out of your busy schedules. And Marcia back there is. Okay, Betsy, you're gonna have to like filter this out. And even though there's only a few people here, we are happy you're here. Thank you very much. My name is Catherine Hebert. I am a certified SCORE mentor, but I am also head of community development and engagement, where we put together educational workshops, and I've been with SCORE for about 3 years. This year, SCORE celebrates 60 years of helping people achieve their business success and their business dreams. And our mission is to help you with all your passions, your visions, your dreams on your entrepreneurial journey to make sure that and help you succeed. And it is a very frustrating and challenging process, but it is rewarding, and we are here to help you. So how do we do that? Well, like I said, through these workshops and these educational webinars and workshops, and also we have a lot of resources that are on our website. You can listen to recordings at your own in your own time, and we also have a lot of printed material that you can get at the table or online as well. But the biggest part how we help you is one-on-one mentoring. So we encourage and we highly suggest that you reach out to us so we can connect you with one of our subject matter and expert mentors. I want to thank our partners here, Amanda Gilberti, who is head of the programs for the Danbury Library, and our volunteer mentors, Marcia Fitzgibbons, Sabrina Cordal, David Rich, who is also chairman of our chapter, and Paul Trindade is our vice chairman. So right now, let me introduce our presenter, Michael Samoska, who is also an extraordinary business mentor, but a cybersecurity expert. And with that, I hand it over to you, Mike.
Right. Thank you, Kathy. Well, good evening, everyone. You made it. You're here. The small crowds we have, but we made it. So have you ever wondered, is the internet a blessing or is it a curse? Trying to get my thing going here, guys. There we go. It's been a very interesting, topic of conversation over the last few weeks. It's a little debate, a little heated arguments. Is it a blessing or is it a curse? And as I take a look and I think about what I've heard and what I've shared and from customers and from clients, the internet to me is such a blessing. With over 20 years now being the biggest promoter of the internet. In fact, I codenamed the internet the Great Equalizer. It gives every one of us, no matter how big, how small, where you live, access to unlimited resources, tools, applications, services all over the world. It gives us the ability to connect, communicate, and collaborate like never before. Whether it's industry peer groups, you're a mentor, whether it's a traditional TikTok, Facebook, or whether you're joining digital town halls, the ability to reach out and connect is basically unlimited. As a cybersecurity and technology advisor, as an expert, I meet with hundreds of clients every year. And what I've learned really over the last 6 to 12 months is you guys do some really amazing things on the internet. And how you're using that technology to business is a learning curve for me. But what I've learned is that just about every company today either has a significant dependence or complete dependence to run and operate a business. We spoke earlier, completely online. I run a small business, we're completely online. So if you think about how much technology you're consuming today, as opposed to 2 years ago or pre-pandemic, it kind of startle yourself. If you look at back then, we were doing email. Maybe we had voice and some e-fax. Now you're doing QuickBooks, Wave, you're doing HR, payroll, you're doing scheduling, you're using DocuSign to send documents, and so on and so forth. So much more technology. And so for that, I say the internet's a big, big blessing. But as with the duality of life, the duality of the internet, the yin and yang, we have the hot and cold, the big and small, but we have the good and the evil. And just as we talked about all the good things we can leverage from the internet, excuse me, we also understand there's a lot of threat actors out there. Bad actors trying to break into your organization, look at any chink in the armor, trying to get into your systems, into your data. And one thing you need to know that today more than ever, every organization I work with, their technology is online 24/7. In fact, I read an article last week, the average house has 30.4 devices on the network. I don't know how they come up with the 4, but they went through and talked about, we have Sonos for music. You have Alexa. You got Nest to control your thermometers. You have video doorbells. You have Xbox. You have your smartwatches, 3 PCs, 2 tablets. We have a lot of things that are connected to the internet. Well, if we look in a business, depending on the size of your business, you also have things, printers, scanners, PCs, key cards to get into your business. A lot of technology. Well, what we call that's your digital fingerprint. So you're connected to the global grid 24 hours a day. And everywhere you use a resource, an application, a service, there's a little thumbprint of your organization. And now as a hacker, as a white hat, I'm a good hacker, I'm an ethical hacker. They pay me to kind of breach to see what we can find and what can we turn up to help you prevent the bad guys from getting in. So your digital thumbprint is all over the world. But from a hacker, we call that your attack surface. What can we discern? What can we discover? What kind of reconnaissance can we do to learn everything about you, your business, or your organization? And so for that, the internet's also a curse. So for me, the answer is it's both a blessing and a curse. So good evening, everyone. My name is Mike Samoska, and tonight we're going to talk about why cybersecurity matters for small business. And I really want to drill into really helping you cultivate a really strong mindset of how you look at your business, the technologies you use, and how to safeguard and protect your business. All right, so our agenda for tonight, I'm going to go through here in a minute, give a little more background on myself, what I do, some of the things I've been exposed to over the years. We're going to talk about why cybersecurity matters. And the heart of tonight is really going to be in that middle thought. Really want to share the reality, the risks and impact, and the mindset really like to see organizations really start to adopt to and adhere to. And then we'll wrap it up with some best practices and some resources, and then we'll have a Q&A at the end. So first, a little bit about me. Where do I start? So my journey with technology goes back almost 40 years. I know I look 30, but no. When I was a 17-year-old buck-eyed private in the United States Marine Corps, back in 1985, when there was no internet, there were no cell phones, there was no technology. I did pretty well in school, so they put me in a communications and cryptography specialization. And cryptography is scrambling, it's encrypting. And so at that early age, I quickly learned how to connect our troops, tanks, ships, helicopters, all over the world. Whether I was in the middle of the Pacific with the naval fleet, a military exercise hitting a beach in South Korea, in the jungles of the Philippines, or in the blistering hot Mojave Desert, learning how to connect. All this stuff was really, really cool. And of course, like with most things in the military, it all has to be military grade protected. How we classify, tag, track, encrypt, and protect all that data as we transmit that across radio networks, wireline, and satellite networks. And it really gave me a really solid foundation to launch me into a technology career. And then from 1990 until currently, I've worked with technology solution providers, cybersecurity firms, and engineering firms, helping companies to install, configure, deploy all the technology you use to run your business. Your wireless, your networks, your internet, your firewalls, a lot of background there. In fact, it's funny, I was just talking last week, I put in probably 100 or so of the first internet connections and firewalls here in Connecticut. Companies like Brooks Brothers, ESPN, United Way, and so many other ones. And it's interesting, my career, my journey, how it came from nothing to where we are today. So along the way, as you can imagine, I've achieved a lot of certifications. Some really high-level certifications with Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Cisco, and so on and so forth, the top technology vendors. In my current role as a chief technology officer, as a cyber chief, I have the honor of serving on a number of different advisory boards, helping to really steer and shape the future of technology, how we use it, and giving a lot of feedback to the manufacturers of what we're seeing, what our customers are saying is what's working and what's not. On a personal note, I'm a big, I like to give back. And so I'm here tonight with SCORE volunteering, but I give back to our community, whether it's local food shelters, Special Olympics, volunteering for many, South Berry Land Trust, a lot of local give back. I also give back to the military. A lot of our troops that are getting out discharged, helping them to transition and parlay what they learned in the military into the private sector. Also, another group that guys getting out, women, our fellow brothers and sisters that come back with injuries or PTSD, artificial limbs, support groups, whether we're running, riding, or just a video Zoom ride, helping to support our troops. And last, helping small business. That's why I'm here tonight. As a small business owner myself, as somebody that's helped a lot of small businesses, what's become really disheartening and troublesome over the last 6 to 12 months is the sheer amount of phone calls I'm getting every week. You know, last night, I worked the last 2 days at a small company, got hacked. And so getting some coffee, hopefully I'll keep this pumped up for you. But my point is getting a call at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night or 5:15 on a Thursday morning from a frantic business owner. I'm down, my systems are hacked. I can't get into my data. I got 16 technicians coming in. I got to get on the road. I got to pick, pack, and ship their orders. I got to get their trip reports. I can do nothing. Come help me now, please fix it. Or worse, I get a call from somebody that's actually been ransomed. They fire up their laptop and they get that dreaded skull bones on their screen saying, "We own you. Check your email for instructions." They look in the email and they see that they're being requested for 4 Bitcoin by 12 o'clock that day. Or their data, their systems, everything will be wiped clean. So 4 Bitcoin today's terms, maybe $245,000. That's a pretty steep fine. And so my mission outside of all that is really to make technology simple. What I've learned is it's complicated, it's confusing, and it can be costly to make the wrong decisions. So my mission, really supporting small businesses for many years, is to help demystify and really build a clear and simple roadmap for y'all. How do we use it? What do we really need? And how do we really deploy this stuff to make it work for my business? All right, so that's my background. So tonight we're going to get into why cyber matters. I talked about those 3 key elements we want to drill into. So let's talk about cybercrime. So this is also a session where I want to drive a lot of awareness. This is not going to be a very technical session, get into bits and bytes, or about the cyber kill chain and how we actually weaponize and drop payloads and how we do all that bits and bytes stuff. This is really about setting awareness and mindset to what you really need to be thinking about. And this slide I really want to start with because cybercrime is everywhere. I know you hear about in the news, you read it in the paper, you're talking to somebody at a coffee shop, you hear about United Healthcare got hacked, or a LA hospital got hacked, or a college got hacked. And a lot of times as small business owners, we think, well, I'm too small, it's not me. And one really concerning thing for me is how desensitized we are getting to all the cyber crimes. And cyber crimes don't necessarily have to be this big, massive breach. It could be a fraudulent email, a scam text. It could be a phone call at night by some scammer trying to take advantage of you. So there's a lot of ways, shapes, and forms. I'm going to just take a few minutes to walk through. So these right here, have many of you heard of these terms before? Yeah, nod of head. So these 5 represent typically 80 to 85% of all breaches happen today. Believe it or not. And I'm just going to expand the next one just to give you a little more for those of you who may not be familiar with these terms. You know, I'll quickly go through them. Phishing are really sophisticated, crafty emails that get sent out to hundreds of thousands of people. It looks legitimate. It's from Bank of America, it's from Travelers, it's from a legitimate organization. The logo's the same. It's well crafted, saying your account's been hacked, or your account's overdrawn, or your password was changed. Please log on, and you click on that link. And let me stop right here and say, well, anytime you click something, just know something's happened. Behind that, yeah, absolutely. And behind that little click, whatever you click. Oh, I'm happy to share this too, Maggie.
Oh, okay.
At the end there, I'll PDF this up, shrink it down. We'll get everybody that's joined in.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we're going to be sending this out to everybody. So, and it'll also be recorded on our website. The recording will be on our website.
So phishing is emails. It's basically blasting on emails. It's a spray and pray type of attack approach. Who's going to be a victim? Who's going to be curious enough to click on something? And again, when you click on something behind the scenes, it can take you to a legitimate site, or you're telling it, yes, download silently this little piece of ransomware or malware to infect my machine. So phishing is phone calls. You get calls all the time at night. They pick up, oh, this is Microsoft. This is Tom from Microsoft. Your Microsoft PC is going to expire tonight at 11:59. That license you have is a trial license, and for $179, I can activate your new license right now. And because it's running so late, I'll give you a discount. I'll charge you $99 for the night. Simply go to your browser, open up this link, and allow me to shout it remote into your machine, and I'll take care of it all for you for $99. And it happens. I know common sense is it just doesn't happen. But not only are they paying them $99, they're getting them access to their machine to implant more spyware, more malware, more dangerous software. Happens all the time. Next one is smishing. SMS stands for Simple Messaging Service, AKA texting. And I'm sure many of you have received text the same type. Your Netflix password was changed. That you just spent $3,000 on American Airlines. Click here, yes to accept, no to. Again, anytime you click something, something happens. They got you. Yeah, they have spear phishing. Spear phishing is a form of phishing, except for it's targeted after really unique individuals, typically board members, executives. And actually, I'll tell you a story about me in spear phishing. When I was a CTO for a much larger organization in Boston 2 years ago, I walk into the office one day, then my VP of HR comes up, hey, Mike, congratulations on your new home. That's so awesome. It's amazing. The pictures you sent, oh my God, the Cape is beautiful. Chatham is amazing. It's right on the water. You're going to have a blast out there. I'm like, I didn't buy a house. And she's like, sure, I got all your emails. I sent you your last 6 months of your pay stubs, all your 401k, I updated your bank accounts, all your routing codes, all your future banks. I'm like, let's take a walk. Let me take a look at what you, so nonetheless, protecting our identity is really big. That's another topic. But I was spearphished. And the thing was, my name is Mike Samoska, Samoska. It came in as Mike Samoska, Somoska. And so she sees it, it's Mike, hey, I need this information sent over to this bank right away. I'm getting ready to buy a house. Can you send them over copies of this? And she says, my team was all over it. We did such good. We got it to you. We're so proud of my team. And within a day, I got online to, freeze all my credit accounts, protect my identity. There was probably at least 30 to 40 credit apps already for mortgage loans, auto loans, and stuff travels that quick on the dark web. They get your information and it's gone. So I am a victim, not probably to admit it, but that spear phishing it happens. It's a real story, and it creates a lot of chaos. And if you don't catch it, if you're not aware of it, that's where the identity piece. Next thing you know, you get bills coming in the mail for a mansion in Miami, a couple Porsches in California, and you're Mike Samoska. This is you. This is your ID. Yeah, well, you owe us $1 million for here and $250,000 for that Porsche. And so identity theft is real as well. The last one, quishing, is a more recent one. During the pandemic, when we got out of the pandemic and we were so happy to leave our homes and go back to eat, we all had that contactless system. Nobody wanted to touch anything. We pulled out our phones, that little square box. It was great. We tap it and boom, your menu popped up. It was beautiful. Well, as it took on, it's really convenient. It is a great thing to use. But it's the good versus evil again. Hackers quickly caught on. They started making their own QR codes and sticking them over the sticker on the table at the bar, going to Mary's Art Emporium, sticking them over hers, and say, I want to see Mary's art exhibit. Oh my God, let me go online and take a look at some of her digital prints. And you click and it goes, oh, welcome to Mary's Art Emporium. It looks legit. Click enter to enter. That's it. You clicked again. Silently downloads a piece of malware to your phone. So these are the most common ones. And again, I want to stress the awareness, because most people, they just, oh, it's not going to happen to me. Nobody falls for that. This is ridiculous. Well, they're getting craftier and craftier and craftier. And it's just not us. If we run a business, if we have teams, we count on our team sometimes. And sometimes your teams are trying to do the best they can, as in my case. They're opening a document, there's embedded files or viruses within macros. There's a lot of ways. People mean well. Nobody really wants to say, yeah, download and create chaos for my organization. But these are some of the more simpler ones. But this represents, again, 80 to 85% of all the attacks, all the breaches that happen today. So the awareness is what I want to bring to light here. This next slide is just more of a recognition. If I was to ask you, how many companies are in the Fortune 500? You say 500, right? But when I took a look at these stats from the Small Business Association's website, I didn't realize 99.9% of all business are small businesses. And it's over 33 million companies. And the other stats are just for reference, pretty interesting. I wanted to share. But from a security perspective, a lot of hackers today, a lot of wannabe hacker heroes that are coming up trying to learn their ways. They know they're not going to go to a Citigroup or Bank of America. They have 3,000 people on their security team alone. You got a company of 1, 3, 5 people. You have nobody on your security team. So these new hackers that are trying to get in and break in and make a name for themselves, trying to make a quick buck, they're going after 33 million targets. That digital fingerprint I mentioned earlier, 33 million targets. And oh, by the way, they're using machine learning. They're using AI and scripts to constantly 24 hours. Their computers are constantly scanning, finding a heartbeat on the internet and starting the target. So they don't even have to manually be on the keyboard. It's all scripted and automated. Pretty alarming. So here's some interesting statistics I wanted to share with you. The first one really stuck out to me. 64% of small businesses that are victim of some type of a hack go on to business within 6 months. I honestly think that number may be a little higher, just because a lot of businesses that go under don't necessarily report. They just silently shut their business down and get a job and go back to work. And we start to look at cyber attack increase year over year, 72%, and we're not even through the year yet, of how much more the cyber attacks really seriously. And then the next bullet, 77 are all targeted towards small business, because they know small businesses don't have the people, don't have the technologies, and don't have the resources. And oh, by the way, the number 2 target, state and local education. The town of Danbury school systems. I can't tell you how many school systems, and we just cleaned up a few here in Connecticut. Same thing, limited budget, it's taxpayer funded. They have a limited budget to procure and try to protect their organizations in their town. So pretty staggering numbers there. Low preparedness. What I call that is a lot of organizations just don't think they're going to be hacked. They say, I got a firewall, I got some antivirus, I'm pretty good. They're not really thinking about what we need to do to prepare, what else should we be doing. And then again, this came from an industry report, the statistics. The last two I really want to lean into, cyber insurance. A lot of small businesses really start to get a false sense of security when they have cyber insurance. It's almost like an auto policy. They say, if I'm hacked or breached, you know what, I got cyber, I got a $250,000 or $1 million policy. It'll cover if I'm down for a week or two, or if I need to buy 5 more PCs. But what they don't realize is, just as with an auto accident, when you get in a crash, was your fault or not, within a day or two, the auto adjuster is going to come out to your car, to your house. They're going to walk around, take pictures, and they're going to say, the damage, here's a claim, we're paying $7,400 in repair for this. Or your vehicle's totaled, we'll replace it. Well, when you get breached in a cyber incident, the same thing happens. The cyber adjusters are going to come out, their auditors, and they're going to sit down and say, Maggie, okay, we're here to help you. Oh my God, we feel so sorry for you. You're breached, you're down. Let's kind of go through. Here's your application. All right, when you filled this out 6 months ago, you said you had firewall, endpoint security, 2-factor authentication. And they'll say, can you log into your firewall? And can you show me the policies that's stopping malicious traffic from coming in and out? I have no firewall. It says you have endpoint security. Can you just show us the last time you updated your antivirus signatures? You're like, my IT guy comes and does it. And so what they're going to go systematically through one by one. All those things a year ago, you're like, yeah, check. Woohoo, I got all this stuff. Well, when you do get breached, they take this seriously now, because they've been paying a lot of money the last few years, and they're changing the game on everyone. And the last bullet is the most staggering, is that last year, 77% of all cyber claims were rejected for fraudulent applications. And the bad news there is that when your term expires, they're not going to renew. And trying to renew with another policy, another insurance company, they're going to be well aware of your existing situation. So 1, you're going to not be insurable, and 2, you're going to have to spend a fair amount of money to deploy, configure, and install all the other gaps in your security program. And so if you do have cyber, just be sure whatever you checked off, somebody that can help you and guide you to make sure you have all the things that you said that you had deployed when you filed for that insurance. Another small business challenge here is, as I talk to a lot of business owners, The number one thing is that the reality is the only constant in business today is the speed of change. Speed, and the day-to-day it's only getting faster and faster and faster. Your competition's changing, your products, your distributor, who you're buying products from, how quickly pricing's changing, your market's changing. That doesn't give you a whole lot of time to look at your tech stack or how you're protecting your organization. You're focused on increasing your products, getting trained on the latest services your providers are providing to you, trying to expand your business, keep your staff happy, and balance time with your family. So not a lot of time. At the end of the day, small businesses are all challenged with lack of resources. They don't have the people, the time, or the budget. Really big stat. And I knew it was this at some point, but over the last 12 to 18 months, more and more and more. Time is the biggest challenge. Because the big thing here is a lot of the things that you need to do to safeguard and protect your business really doesn't cost a lot of money. It really doesn't take a lot. And we'll get into that in a few other slides. The other thing that's really impacting you is that the top bullet, most underserved and undersupported. What I mean by that is Oracle, IBM, Google, Microsoft. If I was to call Oracle and say, hey, I got an opportunity for you. That sales rep said, all right, let's go. Tell me about it. I said, well, it's a 7-user shop in Danbury, Connecticut. They're going to sit back and laugh. Mike, I don't get out of bed unless they have 1,000 users. Sorry, buddy. And that's the same thing with Google, Cisco. So one, we're not getting a lot of support from the vendors for the small business. Their solutions, their software are typically geared for enterprise. So pricing, how you support it, the complexity of deploying and managing it is really expensive. So the vendors aren't really much help to the small business. Next is companies like mine. We provide technology services. We install, design, and configure networks and cyber and servers and software for a lot of organizations. Well, a lot of my competition steer clear to small business for one reason. They can't get there to you. And so I looked at it as a man in the middle kind of situation where they are trying to reach out to a small business owner and say, hey, we have a small business package here. How do we help protect the 3 things most important? Your identity, get 2-factor, your email is the next biggest, we learned earlier, email and protecting your data backup. We got a package here for the top 3 things that can help lock down and minimize 90 to 95% of the risks. Can we talk? Oh, sure, let's schedule an appointment. A week goes by, guy, owner, small business cancels, I'm busy, I can't make it. Happens again next week, happens again next week. And they finally meet with them. They come back and they get a proposal like a sales rep. They got their job to do, just like we all do. And, oh, it's a little too much. It's $600. Can we do it for 400? Like, no, that's the pricing. And what happens is it just becomes a very long, drawn out sales cycle for a very small amount of money. And they're trying to sell a 1,000-seat, hospital. They can make a couple $100,000 in profit versus 5 licenses, 10 licenses. So a lot of the technology service providers said they tapped out. So we're done. We're not going to go downstream anymore. So it's quite the pickle the small business community is in. And so I said earlier, one of my passions is giving back, being here. I do a lot of free complimentary pen tests. I do a lot of sit down for an hour. Let's talk about your cybersecurity plan. What does it look like? Let's build it out. So again, this is some interesting information as you all run your business. You probably share or have some of these same challenges, but you're not alone. These are a lot of small businesses that are facing the same challenges. So what I want to go through here is a couple of myths and bad habits. As I sit down and I meet with small businesses, I'll ask them, what's your take? What's your thoughts about cybersecurity? How do you feel about cybersecurity? What's your plan? Number one response, I'm too small. I have nothing. Nobody wants anything from me. So I don't need to spend any money. I don't want to bother investing any money because I'm just too small. I have nothing of value. And so what I want to make a point here is where actually last week, there's a small law firm here in Brookfield, 2 users, a lawyer and his admin paralegal. They have no technology on site, 2 laptops and a printer. And what happened was they have a GoDaddy account where they have their website, they have their email, and la-di-da, work's going along fine. All of a sudden, they're sending bills out to their customer. Customer's not paying. It's their top 10 customers. So it's like, well, maybe they're busy, give them a few more days. So 30 days went by, net 30, here and gone. So 45-day timeline. The admin reaches out to some of the customers and says, hey, is everything all right? We sent you our bills, our invoices last month. We haven't seen anything. They say, oh my God, your new website was amazing. We went online, you set up your own new online bill pay. It was absolutely the best experience. We don't need to go through all this paper. We can ACH, we can wire. And she was like, what are you talking about? She's like, yeah, you guys have a brand new website. And so what happened was credential harvesting, credential theft. They broke into their GoDaddy account, created a couple emails with their domain. They actually created 2 new websites that looked, felt, smelled just like their domain. And they watched and monitored emails for about 2 months, looking at all the emails, where they were sending invoices, who they were working with. And then they started sending emails from the hacked accounts saying, hey, we just launched a new website. We're expanding, we're growing. Please go online now. We're transitioning to all online, ePay going forward. And so they got probably over $262,000 in revenue they'll never get back. On top of that, because they also didn't have 2-factor, strong password access, they were also able to break into their bank account. Wire transferred 3 wire transfers, 12,000, 18,000, 6,000. So all said, almost $300,000 they're out. So my point is I'm trying to make is 2 user shot. So when somebody says I have nothing, I'm too small to be hacked, it doesn't matter what you have on prem. I always joke, if you have an email, if you got a website, any other kind of just 2 simple things, email, a phone, and you got access to the internet, you can be hacked. You're going to find some way to compromise to get money out of you. Next one is underestimating the ransomware threat. This is a really big one because ransomware now is such a simple, easy service to deploy. In fact, a lot of the big hacker organizations on the dark web are packaging, bundling, and selling a ransomware as a service. It's a service. It's like you use Netflix. It's a film as a service. You use email. You don't have an email service. It's a service you pay for. Well, what these hackers are doing now, by the time it takes us to log into Netflix and watch a movie for 2 hours, a new little script kiddie, a little hacker, can go out, subscribe to this ransomware as a service, get this nice little package on how to weaponize a payload, email a payload, and within a few hours, he'll start to get a couple customers that took that nibble and bit into it. How to set up a net bank, how to transfer and receive Bitcoin, all laid out for him step by step. And so ransomware threat is real. When I say I'm too small, I have nothing, you have money. And they're smart. They're going to look back at what size company you are, what you do, where you live, who's the owner of that company, and they'll make a determination. They probably make 500,000 a year. Let's throw a bid out there for 50 grand, see if they negotiate. Or they're making 50 to 60 million a year. Let's throw out a 300,000 ransom. So they're very sophisticated. They do the research. They're there to make money. They have time and resources. So it's a game for them. It's a big game. It's a $72 trillion market, ransomware, cybercrime. The next one really is for you guys here, owners. Viewing cybersecurity is just as a technology problem. Every owner I talk to, oh, it's tech, I don't know anything about it. Cybersecurity, we'll buy some firewalls. And I'm like, whoa, time. It's not just a technology problem, it's also a people problem. It starts at the top. You're the owner of the company. How you promote, how you share, how you ask, where are you sending those invoices? The passwords sticking all over. We're going to deploy a new password protection scheme. We're going to age out your passwords every 2 weeks or every 2 months. There's a lot of things you as an owner can start to show that, hey, we're leaning in to take security and protecting our data much more seriously. And the flip side of that is the users, your employees. What I call the human firewall. Because all these things happen, but unless somebody clicks on something, the user, I don't want to say they're dumb, we're curious in nature. We get an email from your boss that, I can't believe we didn't pay this invoice. Can you please open this and pay this now? And it's from a hacker email. You open up a PDF and boom, you're taken. You're ransomed, you got malware, not a good sight. So the human firewall, security awareness training. A couple little goofy videos twice a month talking about some of the most common techniques that hackers are using. Some of those early ones, the phishing, smishing, vishing. And that's some really good scenarios to help train and make your users aware of some common typical things that may pop into their desktop or their phone during any given workday. In the last 4, 5, and 6, I'll lump into one little category. Good cyber hygiene and prioritizing. It kind of goes in with the one about, it's really about a culture, about what you're setting from the top down. Saying we have our machines, we're all familiar with our phones will update apps all the time. You get a phone and say you got to update these 19 apps. You say should automatically updates those apps and the security patches. But on our Windows, our Macs, our tablets, we typically find most organizations aren't doing that. So good cyber hygiene, using password managers, making sure you turn on automatic patch downloads, making sure where your data is, are your employees backing up that data? So prioritizing good hygiene, very important. I'm not matching budget to growing risks. That really spells out to the point as you continue to expand your digital fingerprint, you're getting more cloud services, or you're working with another business partner. You have to ask yourself those questions. What's the risk? What type of data am I sharing with this organization? What type of access am I giving them, or is my team getting from them? Because just because you work with another company doesn't mean they're secure. They could be sending you files, data, and information. That's also dirty data. That's compromised. And last, DIY. I say a business worth building is a business worth protecting. A lot of small business owners, crafty. Hey, listen, I applaud all the small business owners. You get up, dress up, and show up every day. You're the heartbeat of a lot of our local community. But DIY, you're not painting a deck. This is serious. We talk about how fast and how sophisticated and how aggressive today's hackers are moving. Even the most sophisticated security teams struggle to keep up. The proof there is you look in the news every day. Larger organizations that have those 3,000 people are getting taken down. And so DIY, not a good idea. Talking to your cousin Vinny, talking to your neighbor Billy, you know, somebody's getting you the worst kind of advice you can get is bad advice. And so reach out, follow with me. I can introduce you to some other cyber advisors or consultants that can sit down and here's a plan. Where are you at today? What's current state? How are you currently protecting your environment? And here's some best practices to kind of roll into. All right, so here's the big why. It's like the big drum roll. Is it why do they want to come after me? I kind of hinted to this a little earlier, but the reality is data is the new oil and speed is new currency. They're coming after you for your data. You have, when people say I have nothing of value, I can tell you right here, employee data, customer data, banking information. If you're doing B2B, business to business work, if you have project plans, your intellectual property, you may have signed NDAs, confidentiality agreements. You may have some, data that's very important to someone out there. One example I want to kind of highlight here is some very, very kind of a weird story. So this guy was a small painting company down in Ridgefield and Wilton, down in Fairfield County. And on all these lawns in a very affluent neighborhood, they just call it J&J Painting. He had his signs, house painted by J&J Painting. Very proud, marketing, branding. It was in a nice neighborhood. Well, hackers got wind of this. They say, well, who's this J&J Painting? He's working for a lot of affluent people. I wonder who lives in these homes. So they got crafty. The Freedom of Information Act, going down to town hall, going online, looking at the addresses and determining who lives in these big multi-million-dollar homes. And sure enough, they found one CEO from a large firm who worked down in Stanford that this painter had information on. So they breached into the painter. They used him as a leapfrog to get to a bigger target. He took his information, and inside the kind of like a lot of good sales and business people, we take notes. Hey, this is Bill. His wife's name is Jane. His two kids' names are this. His two dogs are Bitsy and Beffy. I have the security code to get into his house because I got to go and maintain the jacuzzi. I got the security code to get into the pool area. I got the Wi-Fi password. All that information because it's all digitized. Hackers were able to get that information. It's a pretty funny story. So these hackers started to watch the ins and outs of the CEO and his family at this one particular home. And when they saw him left, they drove up. They go to the back door. It's all digital keyless. And they got those two beautiful golden retrievers. They're like, they're not Dobermans. It's not a junkyard dog. They're happy to see you. Open the door, let the dogs out. They're in the home. They went in and planted video recording devices, audio recording devices, went into the home, into all the PCs, and put some really bad software on it so he could track every keystroke that guy was typing. Copy of his data, and they installed software so they can remotely access his work computer from across the internet. So long story short, fast forward a few weeks, their corporate team said, wonder why there's so much traffic coming in and out of the CEO's home. And so they started to investigate. Well, he's in Scottsdale on a business trip. Why is he sending 5 gigs of data as last time? So long story short, they did their research. They found out the breach happened. And when, excuse me, they interviewed the CEO and they were talking to him, he said, I remember that day. I came home a few hours. I went out for a few hours. I came back. The dogs were in the yard. The house wasn't locked. I walked in. because none of my paintings were stolen, my motorcycles were stolen, my Porsche was still there, none of the jewelry was gone, there was nothing destroyed, the TVs. I just said, my God, I must have forgot to lock the house and let the dogs out in the pouring rain all day. So point is data. You have something that they're going to discern. They're going to take, they can find some way to monetize your data. It's really scary. So let's talk a little bit about risk and the impact. So if you do get breached, what are some of the consequences for a typical organization? Number one thing is money. The financial implications. One, we talked already, ransomware. They take your data. I have your data. You don't have it. Pay me 50 grand, pay me 100 grand, money. Second is we talk about fraudulent wire transfers. They're coming in for your data or for your money. Other financial implications, down business. If your business isn't operating, you can't sell your products. You can't provide the services. You need to do day-to-day to run your business. Another big part is that remediation, recovery, and cleanup. Once you've been breached, depending on how significant or minor it may have been, sometimes it requires wiping out your machines, rebuilding your laptops, reinstalling your applications, getting back online. And I can tell you, people that get hacked in their Microsoft accounts, it can take weeks, or Google. If you're a Microsoft Office 365 user, and they'll want to ask you, send me an email from your, dummy, I just told you I got hacked. I'm locked out of it. I can't send you an email. Send me your domain. So there's a whole cat and mouse game because Microsoft wants to make sure you're not a hacker. And so it takes weeks to restore cloud account with some of the bigger cloud providers. Next, operational continuity, which I kind of dovetailed into. If your systems are down, you can't do HR, you can't do payroll, you can't do accounts payable, receivable. If you're a small manufacturer, you can't pick, pack, and ship any type of equipment. If you're digital content, you can't get access to your storage, your files, what you've been working on, project plans. Big hit to day-to-day business operation. Another big one is damage to your reputation or your brand. We live in a very, what I call a trust-sensitive world. Everybody's very, very, very trusty. They see the hacks, they get the letter saying you've been hacked, your account's been compromised, we're gonna provide some type of credit monitoring service. But branding is big. Because if customers don't feel you're a trustworthy organization to do business with, they're gonna silently go elsewhere. And that's for a consumer. For business to business, if you're dealing with a business, a lot of those will cease immediately, knowing that you're not a trustworthy organization. You have bad security posture. You're not protecting your environment. They're not going to want to do business with you or limit the amount of business until you can prove that you're more protected and secure. And last, as you can imagine, legal costs will go through the roof. If you're in a regulated industry, healthcare, finance, banking, pharma, you deal with DoD or any type of government, there's a lot of regulations out there on how you're supposed to protect, encrypt, and track all your user data. So there's a lot of fines and a lot of fees that'll go along with being part of that. You'll have to comply and disclose your security event. And from there, the legal eagles get involved and legal costs can start to quickly go through the roof. As well as if you're selling just to consumers. You have 200, 500, 1,000 customers you're selling your product or services to. A lot of times they're very litigious. They're going to want to get paid for that. You can say, you lost my data. I'm at risk now. And they're going to file small claims. You're going to need a lawyer to help you. So these are the big threats and risks for organization. What I also add to this is we live in a pretty risk-aware world. You know, if you think about, to humanize that, we brush our teeth twice a day, right? Hopefully we do. We go to the dentist twice a year. We get CAT scan or the x-rays of our mouth to minimize the risk of what? Losing a tooth, getting a root canal, having to get an implant, a lot of pain, a lot of money, right? A lot of insurances don't cover a lot of healthcare. So we avoid that risk by trying to have good health hygiene. From another risk, we, in our homes, have ADT. We have security cameras. I drive my buddy's homes. I come halfway up the driveway. It's like New York City, man. There's lights flying. He's got all the motion sensor detectors kicking on all the lights. I go to the front door. It's a video doorbell. Ding dong. Hey, Mike, hold on a second. And I walk in. You go to bed at night. You hit the keypad. You set the alarm to go. And what's the risk here? We're trying to minimize the risk of somebody breaking in and causing our family harm. Or if we leave on vacation, the risk of somebody breaking in to steal our goods and damage our property. So we live in a very, very risk-aware world as it is today. And in business, it's even more. We get contracts, we get agreements we're not familiar with. We'll engage with a lawyer or a law firm to help us read through that, to make sure we understand what we're signing up for. A lot of the terminology can be very confusing. We also use at the end of every quarter, end of the year, we have CPAs and tax advisors to help us go through our numbers and make sure we're reporting properly, because what's the biggest risk there? The IRS climbing up your backside, saying, you don't owe us this, you don't owe us this. And oh, by the way, there's interest, penalties, in addition. That could be a pretty big impact to a small business. And so my point is, we look at risk. I really want you to think about your cyber risk, because if you're hacked and you're breached significantly enough, you're not gonna need a lawyer, you're not gonna need a CPA, because you're gonna be out of business. And so my point is a little strong there, of course, but please consider working with some type of cyber advisor, where it's once a year, twice a year, just to check in and get some advice on how you're protecting your organization. Things change, technology changes really quick, and there's just a lot of bad threat actors out there in the world. All right, you got the mindset. So another funny conversation I have with a lot of business owners. What I've been in for the first time. Tell me about your business. What do you do? How you're growing your business? It's great. It's a great conversation. At the end of the conversation, I'll ask them, what other type of company are you? And they're like, well, what do you mean? We're a services company, we're content, I said, well, you're also a data company. And my point here is that we all create, consume, and collaborate with data every day. Whether it's your CFO needing financial data, analytics reports, it's sales, they need forecasts, commits, what we're selling, when it's coming in. Whether it's law firms need contracts, document management systems, we need data. Data is the new oil. We need data to run our business. And so the number one mindset shift that I share with anybody is you need to start to think of yourself as a data company as well. I don't care if you're a painting company and I'm a data company. You don't need to be a technology or cyber company. You can have somebody manage your technology. You can hire managed security services like an ADT. You don't manage your own home security. You can pay companies to manage your business security as well. But take heart to that. You're also a data company. And a big note here is when you do go to the cloud, there's a little term known as the cloud shared responsibility model. So the shared responsibility model is really simple. Say, for instance, we're using QuickBooks. QuickBooks provides the base platform. Their responsibility is to provide a secure access to their application that's going to be up and running, and it's going to be bug-free. But when you first sign up, there's nothing in QuickBooks. It's empty. You bring the data. You add the data, your accounts, your customers, the financial. You're responsible for the integrity, the accuracy, and the protection of that data. The shared responsibility. They're responsible for the platform. You're responsible for the data. In fact, Google Mail, Microsoft Office 365, they don't back up your data. So if you're an M365, you have OneDrive, Teams, email, and I made a lot of money calling people's bluff on this one. They say, oh, they do. They don't back it up. And a lot of people use their email as a file storage cabinet. Say, I'm just going to email myself this contract, email that document, email me that PowerPoint. So just know, data. You're a data company. And here's 3 questions I want you to really take away with you. And take some time to go through this first one. Number 1 question is, I'll ask them, do you know where all your data is? And specifically, you can do it personally as well, but for running your business, we have so much siloed data, whether it's financial data, HR, payroll, projects, customer plans, some stored on a laptop, some stored in OneDrive, some may be in a Google Drive, some may be in QuickBooks. We have data all over. Remember the fingerprint, guys. We have data all over the internet. And so to take your time to go through and create your own little technology inventory of where are all my software. A good place to get your bill. You get subscriptions every month for a lot of these. Take a look at what you're paying subscriptions for. Ask yourself, where's all my data? Because that's going to help have a great conversation around how do we protect it, how do we back it up, and how do we make sure our data is safe. End of the day, hackers aren't coming in for your iPhone 16. They're not trying to break in to get to that shiny laptop. They want your data. Your laptop can blow up, phone can get dropped in the water. Your data, you can't buy your data back. Second question, do you know where your data is going? So we know where it is, but who has access to it? Your Aunt Stephanie, who's doing a part-time accounting for you, and she's sending over all the financial data to her Yahoo account. Oh, and by the way, she can't print, so she takes it, sends it to Gladys, and now Gladys has it on her Gmail account, so she can print it on her printer. Where's your data going? You send data via Zoom, via Teams, you update PowerPoint, spreadsheets, you share a lot of data. Where's it going? One of the biggest blind spot from any organization is the cloud, the east-west traffic inside the cloud. And what I mean by that is, well, just with the QuickBooks analogy. Tommy's got an air conditioning company and he hires his neighbor's kid for an intern this summer to help him do some of the books. And Tommy's getting ready to go to college and he says, I'm in QuickBooks and man, I want to make a big impression. I'd love to have him hire me. And he goes out and he finds this cool Excel AI app to really make these cool 3D spinning pie charts in Microsoft Excel. And it's a cloud-based app. So he links that fancy little Excel AI app to QuickBooks. And he gives it authorization. Yep, all my QuickBooks financial data goes to this third-party app. And he's like amazed. Oh my God, these are awesome. Well, okay, what do you do with these? Lo and behold, we know about everybody's listening in on our phones. He gets an advertisement for a PowerPoint app that syncs and that can make these magical PowerPoints. Connect that to that Excel app. So now he can take all the data that he has from QuickBooks to build that nice little pie chart and build a nice PowerPoint presentation. And so all this is happening in the cloud. So it's up in the cloud, what I call east-west, going horizontal. It's not coming into your business. And so that's a lot of data moving around to some unknown companies. Where are these companies from? Where was that application from? What rights are you giving that? And so as much as internet is powerful, we also need to ask the big questions. Where's my data going? And the last one, I always ask, if you're breached, ransom, or compromised, how confident are you that you actually can get to your data? Your data is secure. And I got a great story here. There's a very well-known library, actually 2 weeks ago, down in White Plains, that got breached, they got ransomed. And they called up and said, Mike, we've been supporting them for years. And we said, all right, we came down on Saturday night, late Saturday night, got started. And we knew their environment. We had their data protected. We had immutable data. It was encrypted. It was offline. It was invisible. Hackers are going after your backup data now. And so we went in, we basically unplugged this firewall, shut all his wireless down. So we kind of isolated his whole entire library. So no traffic was coming in and out of that library. And we restored a couple of machines. It's a library, 25, 30 machines. We restored the servers, rebuilt his applications, restored the data, and he was up and running in 2.5 days. He didn't have to pay, by the way, the ransom was for $450,000. And so that last question, how confident are you that your data is secure? Number one thing, again, they're not coming after your equipment, not coming after your phone, your data. You're a data company. On top of everything else, where's my data? Where's it going? And how confident are you that you have it? There's no 3-2-1 rule. When you back up, you want 3 copies of your backup data. 2 copies should be on 2 different types of media, whether one's in the cloud, or one's in Google, or one's in Microsoft, and one's offline, meaning you get a good old hard drive or you have a flash drive. And so a 3-2-1 rule. 3 copies, 2 different medias, but one has to be offline. You may think it may be a little overkill, but again, your data is everything. And if it's gone and ransom, and to speak of that, the ransom, by the way, just because you pay your ransomware, you pay that $30,000, $50,000, whatever it may be. Not guaranteed. 67% of the time, the keys they give to unlock your data work. So it's 33% of the time it doesn't work. So you're going to pay them that money, you get back and, hey, give me my money back. It doesn't work, but it's not like going to the Home Depot, hey, this wrench doesn't work, it broke. You're done, you're toast. So data, data, data. If I could drive anything into the mindset tonight is view yourself as also as a data company. And just a couple of additional questions here I wanted you, take away as we talk to kind of help build a plan out for a lot of small businesses is how do we get the basics right? Where do we start? I got all this stuff. I don't really know if it's new, is it valid? How do you get the basics right? And that's something you yourself can look at. What do we have today from email security, from endpoint security, from protecting your mobile devices and backing up your data? Like take a crawl, walk, run approach. You don't have to go all in and think this is gonna be a massive, massive expensive investment. Not at all. For small business, there's a lot of free tools. If you're less than 5 users, a lot of the manufacturers have free backup to the cloud, free backup of your data, free antivirus. And this is enterprise grade stuff. These are free versions because they are starting to come downstream to help some of the smaller businesses. How do we simplify our approach, the tools we're using? I got all this stuff, it's confusing. How do I make sense of this, Mike? And next, how do we stay ahead of the active threats? We talked about every day, there's day zero threats. We call brand new threats that nobody knows about, that the hackers have discovered and trying to take advantage of. These threats in the wild or day zero attacks are coming out every minute, every hour. These hackers are relentless. So having someone up to date with your firewalls, your endpoint security, making sure you're updating not just your endpoints, but your networking devices that are aware of these latest threats, these day zero threats. Quick note on there is 90% of the breaches from laptops and hardware and equipment already have patches available for them. It's just that nobody deployed them or put them on their machine. And what I mean by that is they know that these are bad holes in your software. Microsoft puts a patch out and say, this is a critical fix, critical vulnerability, deploy this immediately. You may see that in Google Chrome all the time. It pops up, updates available, like every other day. Because they're fixes, they know there are holes in their browser simply by building that, list of active. How do I stay a little more active? Going back to the top we mentioned earlier, from the owner of the company, driving those good cyber hygiene and practices down throughout your organization. And the last one I talk about, number one thing, incident response. What would you do if you got hacked tomorrow? You woke up, went to work, and your machines were down. You got the ugly cross skull bones on everything. You can check your email for Merry Christmas, how much you're going to pay for ransomware. And most people don't have a plan. Who do I call? What do I do? Do I reboot? Do I shut my internet down? Do I call the FBI? Do I call the police? Most people just don't have a plan. So ask yourself, again, I keep suggesting and reach out, work with a cybersecurity advisor, a security consultant that's been doing this for a while that can give you some really good tools, approaches, and a program to start you on that roadmap of better protecting your organization. So that was the big three. We talked about the realities, the risks, and the mindset. Very important. I hope you took some points away from that, and I will have these slides we will send out to you all. So as we're wrapping up here now, some of the best practices, I'm not going to go through this whole entire list, but as you see at the top, what do I have? Work with a cyber advisor. Get some advice. Even if you read, even if you go out and read, and there's a lot of great security CISOs, security consultants that have blogs, Google it there, like me, open up to share. In the security community, we're a very open community. We're all trying to protect against the same adversaries, trying to protect our data, our customers and users. So there's a lot of great, really good checklists and best practices, but trying to implement them, trying to figure them out. That's why the DIY I told you to do yourself. That's where you run into a roadblock. And so suggest you look with an advisor. And the rest of them, we talk about software updates, passwords, firewalls, two-factor authentication, some pretty common things here. But again, just a good checklist to kind of compare and contrast what you have deployed in your organization today. But the biggest one I'm going to say outside of that is we talk about data backup, data. And finally here, as you get this deck, I have some really cool resources here and some links. If you want to try to create your own, again, start to think about, you have an advisor, you want to sanity check how he's guiding you and coaching you. There's a cybersecurity planner, the cybercrime support network. If you are hacked, if you aren't, take that down. You can email or call them anytime, 24 hours a day. They have resources on the standby to help you and guide you on how to respond. And then the awareness training I talked about, it's free. It's probably maybe 15 or 20 modules, but it's something to get you started at least. You and some of your employees, the scam spotter, as well as the phishing test. This is another one that you can go through. I think it has a couple dozen simulated tests for you and your users to take a look at what some of these more sophisticated phishing emails really look like. And the last one, if you're really curious, you can download this ransomware simulation test. You download it from the cloud and it'll actually go through, and I believe it's like 19 ransomware attacks that's actually going to try to perform on your machine just to test your state of security on your endpoints. And that's it for my presentation, guys. Happy to open up for any questions.
So for those of you who are here with your small businesses or thinking about your businesses, do you have something like this? Do you have you met with the cybersecurity advisor? Do you have those plans in place? Was this helpful?
Think about it.
Yeah, think about it.
I've been